Hello, Jim Tressel here, and welcome to our virtual State of the University address. This is a little uncomfortable for me. I'd really rather be with all of you, but this is certainly an unforgettable time. This will be something that I've never done before and we've never done before, but we'll do our very, very best. But since this is an unforgettable time, we'd like to begin the State of the University with a little bit of a recap that this past academic year was truly an unforgettable year.
In Youngstown State University's 112-year history, there's never been quite anything like the 2019-2020 academic year. It started out as a relatively ordinary fall semester, as we welcomed the class of 2023 to campus. We celebrated the golden anniversary of WYSU. We partnered with IBM to launch an IT Workforce Accelerator program that promises to put YSU a step ahead in the high-tech job market. Our world-renowned English Festival received the prestigious National Intellectual Freedom Award. The Bigley College of Education earned a national A grade for early reading instruction. And for the 10th year straight, our beautiful 145-acre campus, adorned with nearly 2,000 trees, was designated as a Tree Campus USA. Our students also continue to excel, including the 2020 National Student Intern of the Year, our national ranked moot court team, and of course, our national champion ethics bowl squad. By late January, we were announcing that the historic We See Tomorrow fundraising campaign had hit its $100 million goal, the most ever in YSU history. The campaign has received 27,000 gifts in all, including 32 donations of $1 million or more, and has set a new goal of $125 million. But then, everything changed. As the deadly coronavirus pandemic swept across the world, every sector of the nation, including higher education, came face to face with challenges most of us could never imagine. But the YSU community did what it always does. We came together in an unprecedented fashion. In less than 10 days, we moved all of our classes to remote delivery and developed an array of virtual student support services. We had virtual music performances, online training sessions, web-based rec offerings, and thousands of WebEx and Zoom meetings. And most importantly, our students stepped up, showing tremendous resilience and resolve to turn difficult circumstances into great success. That success included a new student Fulbright recipient, a Barry Goldwater Scholar, and dozens of students across many disciplines, from business to gerontology, journalism to graphic design, winning state and national contests and awards. In the words of student Taylor Valero, who won the Golden Addy Award in advertising, the sky is the limit. Despite the continued challenges, the sky certainly does remain our only limit. We showed our toughness in the toughest of times. Maybe our greatest accomplishment was helping more than 1,400 students graduate in our first ever virtual spring commencement. Now, we enter a new academic year. Many unknowns and many challenges remain. What we do know, however, is that our students will continue to accomplish great things. We know our faculty and staff will be there to support them, and we know that YSU will remain steadfast in delivering high-quality, faculty-engaged education in a safe and nurturing environment, no matter the hurdles we face. We are all in this together, and together we will succeed for all.
As we begin to think about our 2020-21 academic year and looking forward and assess all that we've been through in the past, it really reminds me that whether it was personally or professionally, sometimes the most difficult adversities, we had the opportunity to have amazing growth and to really go forward in ways that maybe we had never considered. And that being the case, I thought that the way that we could have our State of the University discussion could be by using the acronym GROW. And the four words that I have in mind as we talk about GROW, the first is gratitude, the second is reassurance, the third is opportunity, and the fourth, the W, is work together. And so as we begin talking about our gratitude, I think about this unforgettable year. I think about all that all of you have been through all that our students have been through, our graduates who aren't with us anymore, thinking about their virtual commencements and their virtual award opportunities and so forth. It really was an amazing time, and we are so grateful for how everyone stepped up in the course of the end of last year and the preparation for this year. There's amazing strength and resilience, collaboration. Our IT department, our academic continuity team, our faculty, our staff, most especially our students, how grateful we are for the patience, the work, just the attitude that was taken forward. You know, we can't thank you enough for all that every single one of you did and your willingness to sacrifice. We've had some people take temporary salary adjustments, furloughs. Unfortunately, we had some layoffs. We're so proud of how our groups worked together so that we could minimize those layoffs in those difficult times. And the willingness to adapt to the change in how you took your courses or the changes in how you taught your courses, the changes that had to happen in our IT areas, in our administrative areas, all of the various people, the changes in our ability to communicate and how we had to reach out and communicate in different ways rather than being with one another as much as we would like. We're so grateful that everyone really looked at what it was they could do. They stepped up and made sure that we finished that academic year the best way possible, and we're beginning this academic year really feeling like we're totally prepared. We have to appreciate and be grateful for the federal government as they stepped up and they provided some CARES Act financing, really helped a lot of our students. We know a lot of our students lost part-time jobs, had really financial tough situations, perhaps at home, in their own lives. That CARES Act funding certainly helped. We were able to refund some of our students with their room and board and their parking and various fees and so forth. We did the best we could possibly do, and without that CARES Act funding, that virtually would have been impossible, and we're certainly appreciative for that. The state government, they stepped up, and when we got the second form of the CARES Act funding from the federal government, the state government saw fit to make sure higher education got some funding so we could do the things that we're planning, like provide masks and hand sanitizer and safe classrooms and hand washing units and all of the various things. The state's been great. They've been great with their guidance. From the get-go, Governor DeWine and YSU grad Amy Acton did a great job of helping us really mitigate this difficult situation and give us the guidelines, help us set the goals for phasing things in. It was an empty campus around here in April, May. We started getting a few more people back in June and July, and now here in August, we're back to not a full campus. We have less density on the campus, which was the guideline, but we had great guidance from the state of Ohio to make sure that we could do this safely so that we could all be confident in being back on campus and getting ourselves prepared to have the greatest academic year we possibly could. Our local government has been tremendous. The Youngstown City Health Department, the Mahoning County Health Department, they will be key partners as we go forward because their guidance, making sure that they're keeping us safe, making sure that they're keeping track of the data and doing the contact tracing and all of the things, because we know that this won't be a semester without some cases and some issues and so forth, and we've been working lockstep with our local government. We've created a city-university compact, knowing that each person has their role, and we're so grateful for their help there. And also the IUC colleges. We have 14 public universities here, four-year publics in Ohio. We've spent, for a while, 2 days a week on the phone together with the presidents, with the provosts, with the chief financial officers, with the student affairs people, with the communications people. The IUC universities have really worked hard to help each other, give each other ideas. We've created a safe return to campus protocol committee for the state so that we could get a lot of the things built in that every one of us universities were going to need. So tremendous collaboration with our IUC partners. And we can't forget all of our supporters, donors, the YSU Foundation. They created the Penguin to Penguin Fund, which I think they raised well over $80,000 to help some immediate needs for some food and financial situations that our students were in. And then they, at the YSU Foundation, created the Emergency Scholarship Fund so that some students who were in some tough situations and that could show that need based upon maybe their own job loss or job losses in their family, situations that they were a part of, the YSU Foundation stepped up, and we were so grateful for all that they've done for us. And of course, our alumni, we're so proud. We've seen them on TV on the front lines, whether it's nurses and doctors and respiratory therapists and all of the people out there doing amazing things. And we're so proud that they're Penguins, so proud that they were trained here and they were out there really making a difference. And we're certainly grateful to them and for them. And of course, our students. You've been patient. I know this is unlike anything I can even imagine. If I were 19 years old in the middle of my college career and something like this happens, your patience has been amazing. Thank goodness you're technologically inclined, because we were thrust into that environment, and your understanding, your resolve. It was a special thing to watch all of you, and we know it's going to be difficult going forward, but with all these folks working together, we can't thank you enough, and we're so, so grateful. Hence, the G in GROW is gratitude. The R in GROW is reassurance. And the thing that we have been talking about since the moment we became aware of this pandemic and we needed to pivot and empty the campus and have our employees begin to work from home and our students take courses from home, but also make sure any students that really didn't have a place to go, that we could make sure that we had a place for you and that we had meals and so forth. Safety for everyone has been the number one criteria on every decision that we've made. And so we want to reassure everyone that that will remain the number one criteria. We will always follow CDC guidelines. We will follow the state of Ohio. We know things are changing all the time. We know that every day there seems to be a little bit of a pivot and adjustment and so forth. We can reassure you that we're going to stay on top of that. And the IUC Safe Return to Campus protocols. We've had a committee, one person from every one of the 14 universities, led by Colonel Faison, who is a retired Navy, head of all the medical operations in the United States Navy. He happens to work at Cleveland State, and he was the head of our committee, and Julie Gentile, our director of occupational environmental health and safety here at YSU, was our committee member, and someone from every one of the universities have put together some safe return to campus protocols. And we can reassure you that we're going to follow every one of those. We're going to make sure that we have created a very, very safe environment for all of you to come back to work here and come back to study here. We also can reassure one another that each and every one of us are going to follow the Penguin Pledge. And the Penguin Pledge, that we pledge to take care of ourselves, that we're going to make sure we watch out for our own safety and our own health, that we pledge to protect others, that we're going to keep in mind that it's not just our health and safety that's important, it's every other person on this campus, that we pledge to protect the YSU campus, that we're going to keep in mind that when I'm going into class, I'm going to clean up my area, and when I'm done in class, I'm going to clean up my area, and we're going to make sure that we take care of one another from that social distancing and wear our masks and all the rest, but we're going to pledge to take care of the YSU campus. And most especially, we're going to take care of our community, because we know that we are not here in a bubble. We know that we are out there doing internships. We're out there coming back and forth in and out of the communities. Those of us that commute into campus, that we're out visiting businesses. We're out taking part in all of the various things that happen in a community, and that we're going to pledge to protect our community. We're going to take care of ourselves so that we can make sure we take care of our community. We're also going to pledge to one another that we're going to kind of keep an eye on the 3 W's, as we call them. We're going to watch our distance, we're going to wear a face covering, and we're going to wash our hands. If we can take care of those 3 W's, we're going to be in good shape. So we're going to have a couple visuals as we go along here, and we're going to have social distancing amongst our students, amongst our employees, amongst everyone on campus. And when we leave campus, we're going to make sure that we really keep a good idea that we need to keep our social distancing everywhere that we happen to be. We're going to wear our face coverings. We've been kind of having fun all summer long saying, hey, don't make me ask, wear your mask. We're going to make sure that we take care of that, because we know that that can be helpful as we continue to try to mitigate this terrible virus. And we're going to wash our hands. We've had the good fortune to have 10 of those beautiful hand washing units that will be all over campus. 720 people can wash their hands every hour, which means 7,200 people can wash their hands every hour. And so we're going to make sure that we take care of our hygiene so that we don't carry anything and leave it somewhere where it doesn't need to be. We're also going to be giving everyone a For Pete's Sake packet. Got a lot of alliteration in these, so I'm going to probably fuss up some of these. But when you come back to campus, you're going to have a spot to go to get a For Pete's Sake packet, which will have 2 masks, hand sanitizer. It'll have a little reminder of our Penguin Pledge, and we'll provide that for you. We're also going to be employing a lot of students to help us in this situation so that we can do a great job of executing this plan. We're going to have Pete's Clean Team, and that's going to be a group of students that are going to be making sure that we sanitize some of the high-use areas, making sure that the classrooms, the residence halls, all of the various things have a little bit of extra attention. Our people always do a great job with the YSU campus. We've always got a sparkling clean campus, but we're going to make it even then some. And Pete's Clean Team is going to be taking care of that. We're also going to have a Penguin Patrol, and the Penguin Patrol will be a group of students who will be around campus just reminding us to keep our distancing, to make sure that, you know, sometimes if classes let out and we start getting larger groups of people moving in different directions, that reminding ourselves to stay socially distanced, reminding one another to wear our masks, maybe reminding one another that, hey, there's a hand washing unit over there. You know, don't forget to take advantage of that opportunity. So the Penguin Patrol is, I'm told, going to be wearing royal blue shirts with the Penguin Pledge on the back and so forth. We asked the question, why royal blue? And they said, well, everyone on campus wears red YSU stuff and black YSU stuff and white YSU stuff, and we want that Penguin Patrol to kind of stand out. And so you'll see them on campus, and they may even have some little gifts and giveaways and a positive reinforcement for the people who are doing a great job in making sure that we carry on our protocol for returning to a safe campus. We also want to reassure you that we're going to have less density on the campus. The classrooms will obviously have less people in them. They'll be socially distanced and you'll be spread apart. We'll be somewhere 50% or less capacity in all of our classrooms so that we can keep that social distancing. The buildings themselves will have less density. The residence halls, we've thinned them out a little bit to have less density. We want to make sure that gatherings are less dense. We'll say to you many, many times that we're so excited to be back, but we also know that it's not going to be back exactly the way that it's always been. And we're going to keep reminding ourselves for however long that we've got to keep those gatherings smaller. whether it be in the residence halls or at the Edge or at the Enclave or campus lofts or the flats or Kilcawley Center or the library or wherever you happen to be, we've got to keep those gatherings. And so we're going to reassure one another that we're going to follow that protocol. Also, to make sure that you're reassured that we're doing everything we can, don't forget to use that website, ysu.edu/COVID. If there's any questions that come up, make sure you go to that and you'll be able to find the answer to any question. And also, never hesitate to call the Penguin Service Center at 941-6000, 330-941-6000. If there's anything that you need, if it has to do with safety or if it has to do with, what do I need to do to take care of something in financial aid or regardless of what it is, we want to reassure you that we're going to be here to make sure we can take care of all the situations. We want to reassure you that we're going to have flexible quality instruction. I think most of you know that we have 5 modalities. Our faculty has worked night and day to be able to provide all the way from face-to-face activity that we enjoy. It'll be less people, but it'll be face-to-face, and you'll be engaged with your faculty, proper social distancing, all the way to web-based, online, at your own pace. And in the middle will be those agile hybrid campus situations where part of the class might be face-to-face, the other remote. There may be some of the remote online where it's at the same time and we're all remote, but we're all in the same class at the same time. So we're going to have flexibility. You have looked at your schedule, you know which modality is which you can tell that just by the look of your schedule or a faculty member looking at their schedule, that we're not going to have as many people on the campus as we normally have. And so we can reassure you that it's going to be a safe environment in terms of the number of people that'll be here. But we also want to reassure you that you'll still have that good faculty engagement. Some of it will be face-to-face, some of it will be remotely, but I can promise you our faculty are going to be as engaged with you as they've ever been. They've been working hard on creating those environments, so we can reassure you that that's going to be the case as well. And then the other thing that we want to reassure you about is that our Center for Student Progress, our tutoring, all of those various things, everything is going to be available that you've ever had. Your advising opportunities, your career service opportunities, all of those things will be in place for you. So we pledge to you that we're going to have the highest quality of service, if you will, that you've been normally grown accustomed to and appreciated. And then the other thing we can promise you is that we're going to handle the financial difficulty that has been created by this. As we mentioned earlier, the federal government and the state government have been helpful in giving us some funding so that we can do a lot of these types of things. Our enrollment looks like it's going to be solid. It's going to be a little bit down. That's, in part maybe because of demographics, in part because of maybe the COVID, but we're going to be able to handle it. Our people in the finance areas have done a good job of having intelligent spending and so forth, and so we're going to have the funds to help make this a quality opportunity for everyone that is a part of it, students, faculty, staff, and all the rest. So the R is all about reassurance. The O in the word grow is all about opportunities. We think that we're well positioned at Youngstown State to handle this difficult situation for a variety of reasons. One, our campus has gone for the past 2 years on a very intense strategic planning mode, with the final result being taking charge of our future. Little did we know when we began this process that the future was going to include a pandemic, but the fact that we've been working extremely hard to really think about how we could do the best things really in 3 really critical areas. Obviously, our student futures. I mean, there's no question. So many students come to Youngstown State, and you're counting on us to help get you ready for the future that you're dreaming of. And so you can be sure that in our strategic planning, everything that we've talked about, everything that we've been working on is with our student futures in mind. And it's also about academic distinction. We want to make sure that we're the best of the best in the areas that we provide you for academic study, and that we've been talking long and hard about how we can invest properly into being an academically outstanding institution for you to be able to go on and take with you what you learn here, but also be a part of good research and development and cutting edge things. And then also we want to make sure that we impact our region. Youngstown State University is so critical for this region. Obviously, we're critical from a financial standpoint. We are a huge economic impact. Nearly $1 billion a year of economic impact emanates from Youngstown State University. But our social impact is amazing, whether it's our criminal justice majors that go out and make a difference, or our social workers, or our educators, our people from our business school, our people who are innovating and creating jobs, and entrepreneurs, and you can go on and on and on. The impact that we make in this region is extraordinary, and we've been working extremely hard to make sure that all of our planning focuses in on what's really important. And this is an opportunity, despite the hardship of the pandemic, that we can make sure that we do take charge of our future. And the other thing that I think is really neat that makes us well positioned for the world is that this might be the greatest advertisement ever for higher education. Everyone is on the edge of their seat waiting for a vaccine. Everyone has been counting on extraordinary care, on leaders who could come up with ways that we could handle this situation. And that's exactly what higher education turns out. We turn out innovators. We turn out thinkers. We turn out leaders. We turn out doctors and nurses and respiratory therapists and all the rest. So this is a great time for higher education. It's a great time for Youngstown State University. This is an opportunity for really the world to know how important higher education is in our nation and on this campus. It's also an opportunity, we think, to reimagine and rethink and reinvent how we do things. We've been forced to do that. We've been forced to think a little bit differently as to how we're going to go about things, and that's healthy. It's a great opportunity for us to get better at what we do, to do things that we never imagined that we would be doing, and to get better and better each and every day in how we teach and how we learn. We also think it's a great opportunity to be a leader in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I know this is my 7th year, I believe, here at Youngstown State, and I know in the first couple State of the University addresses, we talked a lot about the culture of community. The fact that we have to make sure that every single one of us knows that we're individually insignificant without every single other person. And that we wanted to create this culture of community on our campus, that every single person is important. Every single person needs to be respected. We should want to learn more about every single person. That's the beauty of coming to a university. I always like to say that a university is unity in diversity, and it's a time in our lives where we can really grow. And we really think we have an opportunity to be a leader in the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the fight for social justice. We've been blessed here this past year. It was in October that Dr. Carol Bennett came to be our assistant provost for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if you think about it, she got here in October, and she, working with Provost Brian Smith, began thinking about how we could do a great job of promoting a real culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion in our classrooms, which will then permeate out into the rest of the campus. Well, then, of course, you know, the COVID hit, and we were sent home and so forth. But even during that time where we were in a little bit different situation, Dr. Bennett was getting to know our faculty, getting to learn about the needs of our students, learning a little bit about where we need to get better, and we certainly need to get better in this area. And then just this summer, the provost, Dr. Brian Smith, gave us a little bit of an initiative, if you will, of, you know what, we really need to take this opportunity to grow in the diversity, equity, and inclusion area on this campus, and that Dr. Bennett is the one that can lead that. And so he gave us a little homework. In fact, I brought our homework with me. He gave us about a 500-page book to read, Strategic Diversity Leadership. And he put together a group of 8 or 9 people here on campus that began working on how we could take some of the things we've been doing well, like our Culture of Community initiative. We had our RISE initiative. Some of you that have been here for a few years know that respect and well-being, the inclusion and diversity, the spirit and tradition, the engagement and excellence, the RISE initiatives that have happened on campus, and we've done a better job with some than others, but the intentions have always been great. And Dr. Smith, our provost, said, hey, we've got to take it to the next level. So he put a group together, and they've been working this summer at trying to create some initiatives. He's also agreed to fund in Dr. Bennett's office 4 graduate assistants who will work solely on this initiative with Dr. Bennett. So all of you that are out there in the classroom and here on the campus, look for some great things happening from our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion office, and they really do want to seize the moment. Dr. Smith said back in June, he said, we need to create this group so we can seize the moment and take this opportunity to do a great job in that particular area. Opportunity is tremendous, and we're going to take advantage of it in many, many areas. And lastly, the W in GROW is work together. That's pretty self-explanatory. We know that this is going to be difficult times. We know that this is something unlike we've ever experienced. Anything that's great, one needs to work together. We've got to thoughtfully work together to make sure we have social distancing. We've got to thoughtfully work together because we know people are going through things that we don't even know what they're going through. We've got to thoughtfully do whatever it is our department or our office or our classroom or our organization can possibly do. All of us have to work together. I was talking to one of my former colleagues in education, and we were talking about a textbook that I know all of you from the Williamson College of Business have probably read, and there have been 4 million copies of this book called Good to Great that were sold. And one of the chapters in Good to Great talks about the Stockdale Paradox. And the Stockdale Paradox is about Admiral Jim Stockdale, who spent 8 years in a prisoner of war camp. And he was tortured over 20 times. He was the highest ranking American military person ever in a prisoner of war situation. And they talked to him after he survived it, and many, many people didn't survive those horrific conditions. They talked to him about, how did you get through that? 8 years, torture, how did you mentally get through that? And he talked about this particular fact, and I'm going to read this so that I have it accurately. He says that you have to retain the faith that you will prevail, retain the faith that you will prevail in the end, regardless of the difficulties, and confront the most brutal facts of your current reality. If you'll confront those most brutal facts, then you'll have a chance to make a series of good decisions and execute the plan. He said, ironically, the people that didn't survive those situations were the ones that, surprisingly, were the optimists. They were the ones thinking, okay, we're going to be done with this by Thanksgiving, or we're going to be done with this by Christmas, or we're going to be done with this by the spring, or we're going to be done with this by Memorial Day. When in some cases, that's nice to think that way, but it's sometimes having you not really face the difficulty of the challenge. And his point is that you've got to have that unwavering faith that we're going to get through this and we're going to be better than ever. We're going to be great. And we've got to think that way. We've got to really believe that through this tough situation that we're a part of, every single one of us has to have that unwavering faith that we're going to get through this and that we're going to be better for it and that we're going to become a better Youngstown State University than we've ever been. But we can't ignore the difficulty of the challenge. We've got to make a series of really good decisions that we are going to work together, that we are going to sacrifice, that we are going to do the little things. You know, it's no fun wearing those masks. It's no fun staying so far apart from one another. It's not as much fun being in as much remote education as we're in. There's a lot of things that aren't that much fun. That's the reality of it. But we've got to make sure that every single one of us on this campus has an unwavering belief that we are going to get through this pandemic. We don't know when it's going to be, so we don't want to put any unrealistic timelines on it. But we're going to get through this. And what we learn and how we grow during this time that we get through this is going to make us so extraordinary. It's going to make us so great. And that we're going to confront the reality of the challenges and that we're going to handle those challenges day by day, person by person, decision by decision, so that we can end up being great. And I'll end with a little Latin. You know, I like to throw my Latin around. I talked to you about macte virtute, which is increase your excellence every day, regardless of how good you are. Get a little bit better each day. Well, I'm going to give you another little Latin lesson here, and it's per angusta ad augusta, through difficulties to greatness. Through difficulties to greatness. If we can all have that unwavering faith that we can do this and we will do this, and we're going to not be afraid to face the brutal realities of the things that aren't that much fun, that we might not get to enjoy like we have, but we're going to work together to make sure that when we come out of this, Youngstown State University is going to be the greatest university it's ever been. Again, thanks so much. Gratitude, reassurance, opportunity, and let's work together.